When I was 8 years old, probably the scariest thing I did was stand up in front of my peers at the spelling bee. But a boy named Hugo from Seattle recently testified before our state legislators to change the hearing aid laws in Washington. Hearing aids helped Hugo, and he wants to make sure every kid and grown-up can hear everything, just like he can now. Hugo's mom, Jill, is with us this morning. Welcome to Spirit 105.3, and thanks for your time. How proud are you of Hugo?
Oh, very proud. He's kind of an understated kind of guy who would prefer not to be in the spotlight, but he knows how important this is, and so he's willing to do it and is getting a lot of attention at school, which, like I said, he'd rather not be in the spotlight, but he's handling it well. I knew it was going to bring additional attention to him, but I don't think I was prepared for how Googleable he is right now.
Oh, my goodness. I love that word. Did he practice a lot, Jill? Like, did he stand in front of you in the living room and give a little speech?
You know, the day before, he did it a few times, and he, just wants to rush through it. And so we were trying to get him to slow down. And when Drew Mickelson interviewed us, I didn't know he was taping, and I was like, slow down.
Oh.
and then it's funny to use that in the story. But I thought he did a great job and slowed it down. And he has like the cutest little expression when he's reading. Like
he means what he's saying.
Yeah, it's really cool.
What kind of reception did Hugo receive from our state legislators? What was that like?
So they looked like they were asleep for the bills before, right? And then when the kids came up there, they all just came to life. And they were so engaged with what the kids were saying and so complimentary to the kids about being so brave and the effort they put in.
Wow.
And it was just really incredible because it was a completely different feeling than the rest of the bills. We're just adults were being dealt with. So it was awesome.
Jill, I have to ask you, why are you and your family stepping up and fighting for this bill? Because let's face it, you did not need the help. You were upfront about that. Why do you care so much about other kids and families going through this?
I think it's just the principle of it. I know what they cover. I know they cover ridiculous things, right? And the fact that something so critical for development and health of a child and so time sensitive is just completely ignored just floors me. Yeah. And so I started asking questions with the insurance company, and then I called the Department of Health, and they said, well, the only way to do this is to get legislation created. And I didn't even know who my district legislators were. I hate to say it, but I didn't. Never mind how to contact them. So I started reaching out to deaf and hard of hearing organizations and asking, is anybody else, like somebody must be working on this? And bills have been tried in the past years prior to that for adults, and they've failed. They haven't gone anywhere. So I thought if I use the angle of the kids, because kids are different than adults, that maybe I can do this. And so I started asking lots of questions, and Washington Hands and Voices said that they were going down to a disability reception in Olympia in January 4 years ago. And so I went down there, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I just started talking to people, and every legislator that I talked to was just floored. They were shocked that there was no coverage for children. And they were angry about it, too. And so that evening, I got an email back from Representative Kilduff, who represented the Tacoma area at that time. And she took on the bill. And one thing has just led to another after that. And I've been just sort of figuring it out as I go. And I think just being persistent, speaking to a lot of people, sticking your neck out there, and just spreading the word has worked to my advantage to kind of get this ball rolling. And every year growing and growing and evolving, and I'm hoping that this is the year because it seems like all the pieces are in place this year. And last year was our first year getting a public hearing, but it was right at the end of session. And so there was no intention for it to go anywhere, but it got heard, and it was virtual. And the kids testified then too, but it was virtual. And so the fact that both the House and the Senate bills got hearings right away this year, and they're both scheduled for executive session, the Senate bill tomorrow and the House bill Friday, and that's where the healthcare committees in the House and the Senate will vote on whether to move it forward to the next committee. So hopefully they vote yes. I'll be anxiously watching and waiting.
I'm hoping that with you. Let me ask you, what kind of a difference did hearing aids make in Hugo's life?
Hugo was always kind of moving along, but we noticed his speech was a little bit different than his brother's, and we didn't know if that was just because he was a different kid. So when we got a speech therapy evaluation, they said, if you ever question speech, you should question hearing. And Hugo passed the newborn hearing screening test, but it will miss mild or mild to moderate kids because it's not tested at perfect hearing because babies have debris in their canals after birth, right?
Huh.
So it will miss those kids. So he got missed. And then we decided, let's go for a hearing test. And we went to Seattle Children's and they dropped the bomb on me. And it's devastating to realize that your kid doesn't have one of their senses and that you thought they did. And you worry about future, like how is he going to do in school? What's going to happen? So finally, when he got hearing aids, we had them turned on and he was sort of like wide-eyed and he didn't know what to make of it. And then we went to a park and we walked around and he looked up at the planes and he looked at the birds and he was just sort of wide-eyed and sort of unsure what to do with it all. But within another day or two, he decided, based on his actions, that these things are amazing. They're going to be in my ear from the second I wake up in the morning until Mom rips them out of my ears to go to bed because I want to hear everything. And hearing everything is amazing. And so the more he can hear, the better. He wants the input and he wants these things in all the time. And so we noticed that he just seemed to blossom and just open up more. And then, of course, the speech just took off. And the speech therapist didn't think he needed therapy. They thought he just needed to hear. And within 6 months, went from 18th to 80th percentile with just hearing aids alone. He's continued to increase and improve since then. I feel like he still is catching up. He just turned 8, right? He was almost 4 when he got hearing aids. So half of his life, he was only hearing about 50% of what he should have been.
Wow. It was like a whole new world.
A whole new world. Yeah.
Oh.
And I noticed then looking back that every picture, every, moment we have documented with a family, I am like kneeling down right in his face all the time. And I thought he was my more difficult kid. But I think I was realizing how to tap into this kid without even understanding what the problem was.
Yeah, moms are amazing. Well, Jill, a.k.a. Hugo's mom, thank you so much for spending time with us. And please give Hugo a huge hug from all of us here.
I will. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you. Take care.